Okay, the audience is big enough. Let's start. So I'm Erez from DoiT International, and thank you for joining. I would just say a couple of sentences, and then we'll start immediately, giving everyone a chance to present their solution. So hi, everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm so glad and excited to kick off the first product exchange event online. As a strategic account manager at DoiT International, I work with many customers across a wide variety of verticals and industries. Many times I would hear of one customer's pain point or challenge, and only to know that another customer may provide that exact solution offering. After connecting or matchmaking customers many times, I realized that the potential is great to provide our community with a chance to get to know many available products offering in one condensed hour. We hope this might ring the bells for you to use each other's solution offering instead of starting researching from scratch, or even worse, reinventing the wheel in self-development. The session will be packed with 12 presenters for 5 minutes each that will share their offering quickly. You can contact them directly. They'll try to put their contact information in their presentation, or you can contact me in the chat privately and I will hook you up. The demand for the presenter spot in this first event was very high, and we couldn't fit all requesters in the initial event. We look forward to hearing your feedback. If there is enough interest, we may run this event again, or possibly make it targeted at a more specific audience, sectors, and more. So please enjoy. I'll start with the first presenter, our own Tamir Klein. SuperQuery was bought by DoiT International. It's actually available for free for all DoiT customers. So Tamir,
hi.
Please present.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having me first. I hope it will go smoothly. I will share my, you need to stop sharing your screen, Erez, so I can share mine. Okay, share screen, share. Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen. Let me click again on present. Hi, so I'm Tamir Klein, Director of Engineering of DoiT International. I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes pitching to you about SuperQuery or Big Data Web IDE. I'm going to attempt to do a tour of the product and not talk a lot about around slides, so I hope it will go smoothly. So what do we offer in SuperQuery? So we are a web IDE for data-driven organization. That means that we focus on SQL development. So some of you, or I don't know who is in the cloud, know development in JavaScript, Python, and other type of languages. Developing in SQL is a little bit different, but we want to bring those concepts both to the cloud and both into the SQL development cycle. One thing that come out of that is optimization. We want to allow you first to optimize your time so you can write your query faster when interacting and engaging with data by offering you autocomplete, code sharing, snippet, collaboration with your colleague. And the other thing that we want to open is cost optimization. We all know cloud today, we're all looking at cost, and the situation require that. So controlling your costs and not having surprises at the end of the month is a must. And at SuperQuery, we focus a lot in helping you to control your BigQuery cost. And the last thing that we do, we understand that your data can be in different places, not only in one place. So we are connected across cloud and across region. So let me kind of give you a quick tour, because there it says 5 minutes. I want to keep to the 5 minutes. So on the left side of SuperQuery IDE, you have your resource panel. In my account, in this demo account, you can see that I'm connected to BigQuery and Dynamo. And because I'm connected to BigQuery and Dynamo, I have resources from those both two connections. If I will focus on my BigQuery connection, I can see a data set, I can see a table, I will see a view, I will see store procedure, whatever object are there, and I already have quick access to the information. And in a single click, when talking about query optimization and typing query faster, I didn't need to type anything. With a few clicks, I found my table, create a select command, and run the select command. If I want to start typing, and it happens sometimes we need to start typing, this is an example of an autocomplete. So I'll start typing letters and I get suggestion. I can type letter with translate into a function. I will get suggestion on function. So this is an example of, as I said, autocomplete. Writing a query is one thing, but interacting with the data itself is also very important. You want to see the data sometime in a wide screen. Maybe you want to search on your data. Maybe you want to export your data to other places, so you can export them to Google Sheet, to CSV, copy to Clipboard. So we have all of those tools that enable you to take the data and move it to other places after you've done your analysis. Let me quickly talk about organizing your work. So organizing your work is done on boards. Boards are kind of folder that you can share with your colleagues and with team members. You can obviously control the access right to your board. So I have here two boards. One was the San Francisco police data, and this is a sales board. So if I'm an analyst, I organize my work in boards and I share it with my colleague. And in that way, my work and my collaboration is much, much improved. Obviously, when talking about SQL, as I said, different than JavaScript and Python and other language, you want to control the development cycle. So controlling development cycle without source control is impossible. So we have Git integration built into our product. You can commit your code, you can commit your changes, and in that way, you can track what's going on. And the last thing, the last concept that I want to show you, maybe you already noticed it when I was clicking on the screen, is storytelling. You did an analysis and you want to tell your story. Obviously, it's better to tell a story over a nice dashboard with graph. You can see here a very nice dashboard and graph. And on top of the screen, you can see variable, which can help other people who doesn't know SQL or doesn't know the data by simply changing the variable, interact with the data. So not only you as a developer can access the data, they can do it as well. So this is kind of cherry picking some feature of the product. SuperQuery has been out there for over 3 years. We started with connecting to BigQuery, moved to DynamoDB, which is a totally different story of NoSQL with SQL, shipping Amazon Athena, etc. Some names that we have, and that's it. I hope
Amir, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just in time. So you can stop sharing, please, and we'll move to the next presenter, Donal, the CEO of XPlenty, doing ETL. Please, Donal.
All right. Thank you. Here is share my screen. Great. So, as I said, name is Donald Tobin, CEO here at XPlenty. So over the last few years, it's been a huge explosion in the number of applications and platforms companies are using to run their businesses. While this is great for day-to-day operations, it is a pain for gathering this data and centralizing it to get a single source of truth for analysis and reporting. XPlenty is a low-code platform for bringing all this data together and preparing the data for analysis, reporting, and internal usage. XPlenty was founded out of Tel Aviv in Israel. It is now headquartered in the US. We have offices in Japan, Australia, India, and Israel. Two key pillars of our platform are security and scalability. These days, it's simply not enough for companies just to extract and transform their data. They need to secure their data by masking and encrypting sensitive data before storing it in their databases or data warehouses. XPlenty is a highly flexible and scalable platform, and we support our customers right through their life cycle, from startups to enterprises as they scale and their use cases scale. Our platform is fully cloud-based and can be deployed across global regions on AWS, GCP, and Azure in minutes. XPlenty has three main use cases that companies use our platform for. The first one is part of the BI stack. And so when we look at a BI stack, you have an ETL tool to centralize all your data from your siloed sources, be it databases, cloud platforms, CRMs, etc. Second step then is to get this data into your data warehouse, and then finally to sit a BI tool on top of this. Typically Tableau, Looker, I'm sure you're all familiar with these tools. Once in here, companies can then make their data-driven decisions. XPlenty is somewhat unique in the ETL market in that we also support sending data to all major databases. With this, companies can power their own internal systems. An example of this may be companies that need to gather their clients' data, prepare it, and then send it into their own systems or platforms. Thirdly, use cases, XPlenty also supports getting data into Salesforce, which is the core of so many sales teams globally. With this data, companies can use or enrich data to see such things as marketing attribution, potentially customer account usage, to flag for potential churn or flight risk, and overall just make better data-driven decisions across their sales org. XPlenty services a wide range of customers, right through from early stage to Fortune 100 companies. With our global team, we can support these companies as they roll out XPlenty across their teams and offices worldwide. So here's how our customers use our platform. XPlenty's platform is point and click, drag and drop, so it allows both technical and non-technical team members to build and manage their data pipelines. On the source side, we connect to all major databases, data warehouses, cloud platforms, and also SFTP servers. In this example, we are connecting to Google Analytics and Salesforce. Then these middle two components are doing data transformation. So first one is just joining the data on a certain field, and then secondly, aggregating the data. Last step in this example is sending the data into Amazon Redshift. XPlenty's most loved feature is its rich transformation layer. So on the table level, you can do your standard sort of SQL transformations, and then you can drop down to a field level. And so you can use our expression editor to do things such as parse JSON data at the field level, format data types, and also to encrypt your data. With XPlenty's transformation layer, it's rare to find a transformation requirement that it can't handle. So XPlenty is a full, complete ETL solution that services its customers as they grow from the startup stage right through to their full enterprise size. We'd love to speak with you about your data stack and any data needs you may have. For today, we are offering anyone that is interested in purchasing a subscription 30% off their first year's subscription.
Wow.
So please don't be a stranger. Come say hello. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donald. We'll move to the next one in line. Kaholo, Matan Kadosh, the CTO of Kaholo. Kaholo is a DevOps automation platform. Please start, Matan.
Sure, I will share my screen. Okay, so my name is Matan Kadosh. I'm a co-founder CTO of Kaholo. Kaholo helps software-centric organizations release software faster and with higher quality through simplification of automation workflow building and management. So let's see how it works today. One or more engineers are using a piece of paper or a whiteboard and sketch the workflow they want to build. Then they are using traditional script-based automation tool that is based on a proprietary scripting language. They work for 3 to 4 days to build and test the script, which translates to a very high cost. So this is how it works with Kaholo. They only need to drag and drop the relevant plugins, connect them, and there you have it. The full working process within 2 to 3 hours instead 3 to 4 days. From Kaholo, users can build, run, and monitor their workflows. All plugins are open source and can be either integrations to resources such as clouds, Kubernetes, Docker, testing tools, DevOps tools, databases, or can be any other custom business logic that you want to implement internally for your organization. So we initially target engineers that are not DevOps, as they have less expertise in script-based tools. These engineers use Kaholo to build CI, nightly builds, auto-scaling, QA orchestration, and many other types of workflows. Now, a couple of things that are important to know about Kaholo. So while graphic solutions often viewed as limited in functionality, within Kaholo, there are no limits. Kaholo's users can build any functionality that exists in traditional script-based tools and even more. I know it says a day, but this in the slide, but from my experience with customers, mastering Kaholo takes even less than that. Usually we see onboarding within a few hours. Nowadays, companies want to see the value instantly. They don't want to wait months to see value. With Kaholo, an engineer can start delivering walking pipelines within 3 to 4 days. And also, any engineer can use Kaholo to build complex pipelines, even a junior one, which means significant savings. By the way, it is easy to see how Kaholo lowers the cost of automation from time and resources required standpoint. This actually enables companies to build many workflows that were not cost effective before. Within a few hours, you can build almost any kind of pipeline. Building a pipeline with Kaholo saves about 90% of the time it takes to build a workflow, and let me show you an example for that. So here is a video. So let's assume we want to build a pipeline that takes the code from the Git, then running the building steps and testing it, while in parallel getting the issues from the Jira and building the release notes. And after all that is done, let's just connect them all to the flow. When it's all done, I want to build a Docker image, and later on also to upload my new image to my JFrog Artifactory. That's it. That's all you need to do. Afterwards, I can notify my Slack channel or sending an email. And now all I need to do is just to connect everything, configure the cubes, and that's it. I have here a very complex flow that would have taken more than a few hours in scripts, here ready in a few minutes. So you can see in the video how simple and fast it is to build it with Kaholo. With an old script-based tool, this would take at least 1 day, if not more. These are some of our customers. We made sure that customers are excited of the value delivered by Kaholo before going publicly available. So thanks everyone for joining and listening. If you're interested in simplifying your automation building and enabling faster software release, feel free to contact me or to go on our website to try Kaholo. Thanks everyone.
Awesome, Matan. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Anastasia Logvenko from Pudding.ai. Anastasia, please start. I believe you're on mute, Anastasia. Anastasia, I believe you're on mute.
Unmute. Okay. So I guess we're okay now.
Yep.
Okay. So now I start. So if you want to build a great creative campaign, which creative would you go for, A or B? Well, this will be simple, but what if it's more complex? What if you need to go from A, B, C, D, and there's more options, and you have images, and you have also different copies and text within them? In a world of marketing today, marketers need to face a way bigger challenge. They need to be able to innovate and to have great creative that will help their company stand above the noise when they need to manage different platforms, ad accounts, audiences, different copies, different images, and different videos, and everything in ad accounts. In one word, they're facing a huge amount of chaos. My name is Anastasia. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Pudding.ai, and we are here to help marketers to solve exactly this. Pudding.ai is the world's first creative effectiveness platform. We help marketers to understand what creative works, why does it work, and how they can make it better. Why do they need that? Because in a world today, creative is really important, and they need to understand whatever is happening and what's working in there, and to never miss out. They need to be able to make a better decision based on the creative they have and based on the insight on top of that. And if earlier we had media and creative separately, that today they need to work together. So what we need is a platform that can bridge the gap between the two of them and speak in one language. And this is exactly what Pudding stands for. In order to work with Pudding, the first thing that you need to do is to connect to us your ad account, whether on social media platforms or your CRM. What we do the moment we connect is that we analyze all the creative items behind that, the different images, short videos, and the text copies, and then provide you an interactive platforms where you can get the value and understand what's going on. For first step, it's combine all of your creative together into one platform where you can see the performance. A place whenever you choose a creative, you can know how it performed on different times and on different places, on campaigns, ad placements, and all over. And by clicking on each one of them, it gives you a full analysis of how it performed, what elements was on it, and different suggestions on what things you should use more and things that you should avoid. Over the last year, we've been working with different design partners, and we managed to help them to reach the following. We managed to have to provide them with one centralized creative data place where they could see all of their creative in one place together. We helped them to improve the team efficiency and the time to insights by more than 75%. And by that, we help them to increase, by providing the insight and the suggestions, we help them to increase their strategy ROI and the CPA to multiply by 7. Behind Pudding is a team of 2 co-founders, myself and my great partner, Tal. Together, we have more than 10 years experience in the world of machine learning and computer vision, big data, and building SaaS platforms. Pudding started around 2 years ago with running several pilots here in Israel with Israeli customers. We later on secured funding of more than $500,000 with Nielsen, who is the leading player within the creative field and the creative analysis. And in the last year, we worked with some amazing design partners in the United States and in Latin America. And today, we're open for early access. Pudding.ai provide marketers a hold into one of their most important assets, their messaging and the creative that deliver that. And we offer you to join the Pudding revolution, because remember, the proof is always in the pudding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Let's move on to Codefresh. Guy Salton from Codefresh, the solution architect, cloud-native CI/CD solution.
Thank you. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, great. So yeah, my name is Guy and I'm a solutions architect in Codefresh, and I'll talk a bit about Codefresh today. So as you can see here on the screen, Codefresh is a container native CI/CD platform for Kubernetes and for multi-cloud deployments. And for those who are not familiar with the CI/CD world, these two terms basically define the modern software development lifecycle, that's starting with the continuous integration, where developers commit their code, it's being compiled, packaged, tested, some code reviews, and then moving on to the continuous delivery where the packaged application is being deployed to different environments, and finally to production where the end users can enjoy the new changes. What we identified in Codefresh a few years ago when we started is that companies are slowly shifting from monolithic applications into microservices. And together with this shift, we noticed that companies are they're not satisfied with manual deployments anymore, like once a quarter or once every few weeks. They need to be automatically deploying multiple times a day to compete with the competitions. And as for the infrastructure management of these deployments, we identified Kubernetes as the new standard. And that's why we kind of developed our platform around Kubernetes. So the problem is with CI/CD is when shifting to microservices, companies suddenly find themselves with an increased number of pipelines, and especially with using traditional CI tools like Jenkins, for example. These pipelines usually contain a lot of custom scripts, bash scripts that becomes difficult to maintain and manage, and becomes very tedious and costly. So with Codefresh, we introduced a completely container native CI/CD platform. So it's a SaaS platform that every step in the pipelines runs as a Docker image. So this significantly eases the maintenance and management of the platform because every step runs in its own Docker image in an isolated environment. And we also created a large library of steps for very popular actions in CI/CD to ease the use. So you can think of them as Lego pieces that you can easily reuse across your pipelines, like a Docker image that is built for building Docker images, or a Docker image that is built for running security scans, or for deploying to Kubernetes or to other destinations. So you can just use these Lego pieces to build your pipelines instead of maintaining these old tedious custom scripts. And if you think about where Codefresh fits in the development lifecycle, so on the left-hand side, you can see the source code, and we're completely Git agnostic. So if you're using Bitbucket or GitLab or GitHub, and in the right-hand side, you can see the cloud is for the deployment destination. So fully compatible with all of the major cloud providers. Where in the center, Codefresh provides the full CI/CD capabilities, but also a unique Kubernetes dashboard and Helm releases dashboard that helps you not only easily deploy your applications to Kubernetes, but better understand exactly what's deployed to each cluster. You can see here in this screenshot, this EKS cluster where I deployed my applications to. I can see what's deployed in each namespace, and I can then dive into the Docker image that was deployed, and then see end-to-end traceability all the way back to the commit SHA that takes me back to GitHub or Bitbucket, and see exactly what was the change in my source code that eventually triggered the build that deployed my application. And for Helm releases, so for customers that are using Helm, which is a package manager for Kubernetes, you can get a full dashboard that shows you all of the Helm releases for each of your clusters, and using the built-in capabilities of Helm for version control and rollback over the releases, you can easily see the changes between the current version of your application and previous versions, and then roll back the changes with just one click. And so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guy. We'll move forward to Harness.io. Also does continuous delivery as a service. And we have Ravi Lachman, which is product evangelist.
Yep. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let me just share my screen. Oops. Hey everybody, my name is Ravi Lachman and I'm an evangelist for Harness. We're a continuous delivery as a service company. Very excited today to be here at DoiT International. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can get in contact with us at Twitter at Harness.io, or you can email me at ravi.lachman@harness.io. And so I think I'll be the third person who's talking about this problem today on the panel, but it's actually a very complicated problem to solve, right? So let's take a little bit of a journey. So let's say that we want to go from idea to production. So there's actually a lot of steps kind of involved in that. So from a software engineering perspective, so my background as a software engineer, it's fairly confident to say that no matter what team I'm on, we actually know how to build the software, right? So we know from a local build or even to a CI solution, we know how to build the distributable binary artifact that we're going to deploy. But what ends up happening, no matter how many teams I've been on, I've probably been on a dozen development teams throughout my career. When it's time to actually get that out in the wild, I get that into a higher environment or even production to the hands of your end users. It's a culmination of a bunch of people coming together, right? So there's a bunch of orchestration that has to happen. So every particular team I've ever been on, we've actually deployed the software differently. There's nothing I can take team to team about approaches, about change management, about strategy, even how we go about rolling back when something goes wrong. Well, introducing Harness, we actually help you package all of that up with convention and as a service. So from laying down your infrastructure to notifications to your release strategy. So you want to deploy in a safe manner, such as a canary deployment or blue-green. If you don't know what those mean, we have a lot of great resources on Harness, and we can always talk about it, to actually validating what you made, what the change you made actually is correct. That used to be the bane of my job as a development manager, was the change that we made, matching the features match the expectation. Is there some sort of problem that to roll back? And we do that all for you via convention. The amount of time that it takes to actually wrap all of this up, there are actually a lot of disparate steps. With the Harness platform, you can actually build a very functioning automated CD platform with us in about 4 to 5 hours, everything by convention. So let's actually take a look at the Harness platform. So one of the things that we're keen to doing here at Harness is actually deploying the software, right? So here we have the Harness dashboard. It gives us an enterprise dashboard of our deployments, but let's go ahead and get into the fun part. Let's actually make a deployment. There's going to be a lot going on in this deployment, so I'll kind of do my best to kind of wrap that up. But I'm going to be executing a deployment. Its endpoint's going to be Kubernetes. With the Harness platform, we're kind of ubiquitous. You don't necessarily have to be on a cloud native platform to work with us. We're unopinionated. For example, if you were using, let's say, WebSphere, or if you're using a VM, we can deploy to that too in the same fashion. And so one of the hardest things to do, actually, what actually we're deploying right now, one of the most difficult things to do when modeling a CD process is, A, you want to make sure that you're maintaining innovation, but also you want to maintain that you're also not stifling your business controls, right? So in the Harness platform, if we had a longer presentation, I always like to talk about, hey, each particular model that we have executing, it's a different level of rigor. So clearly when we're in the development environment, the amount of rigor that we had applying here is not as stringent as something, let's say, that's going to QA. For example, in our development environment, we're doing a rolling deployment, and we're just basically doing certain, let's say, code coverage tasks, like a Sonar Cube task. Now, given that there's only about a minute remaining in the pitch, kind of fast forwarding to one that was actually completed right before I came on the call here, is that we can take a look at what one of the hardest things to do actually. So if we take a look at kind of the end-to-end portion of it here, this pipeline was designed to fail. So if there was something that went wrong, the Harness platform can actually, based on intelligent baselines, saying, hey, this went wrong in your particular deployment. So all that guessing that you had, hey, why is your message showing up in our log? Why is something looking a little bit strange? The Harness platform can basically score your deployment saying, hey, there's some sort of regression that occurred. Now, given if you had one application, this is easy, but given we have hundreds, if not thousands of endpoints now, we help score that for you automatically. And lastly, we could also help recently introduce another dimension of cost. And so we recently introduced about a month ago our continuous efficiency product. And so we can actually help you track costs in your cloud spend. So we can do it by application. Since we're the source of truth, we know where items deploy. And also we can tell you what happens in your Kubernetes clusters. But I think I'm right at time. This is 5 minutes. Any questions? Ravi.Lachman.Harness.io, and glad to, thanks everybody for your time today.
Thank you very much, Ravi. We'll move forward to Rezilion. We have Liran Tankman, the CEO. Rezilion is autonomous cloud workload protection platform. Liran, please start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. To be straightforward, we are a security company, and we deal with what happens when all the technologies that you just are being adopted. So people are moving to automated deployments, and now there is huge amounts of code being deployed daily to production. What it means from a security perspective that you're going to have more vulnerabilities than you will ever be able to patch, because code is being pushed daily, and that the tools you're using to secure your runtime environment, those tools that are supposed to compensate for those vulnerabilities, are not going to be able to function in an environment that keeps changing dynamically. Specifically, we see 3 problems DevOps and security teams are dealing with. The first one is that there are just too many vulnerabilities for security and DevOps team to deal with. The second problem is that because there are so many vulnerabilities, applications run with vulnerabilities in production. And the third problem is that those tools that are supposed to compensate for those are not functional in an environment that keeps changing. We help with 3 products. The first one is Discover. Discover is a free product. It basically plugs to your environment and tells you what's there, what's running, where it came from what tool it was deployed, from what repository, was it deployed manually or automatically, and also gives you some added value on drift and misconfiguration. So Discover allows you to understand basically the provenance of every code artifact running in production. Prioritize sees what's actually loaded to memory. So more than 60% of the code that you have in production will never be loaded to memory. What this means is that more than 60% of the vulnerabilities you think you need to patch you actually don't need to patch. Those are vulnerabilities in libraries that will never be loaded to memory. They're not exploitable. And if we started this conversation by saying that there are too many vulnerabilities, being able to reduce it by 60, 70, 80% is significant. And the last piece is enforce. Now that we know what's actually executed, so we know every function, every command, every file executed in runtime, and we also know the provenance of every one of those, we can ask ourselves, was it supposed to be executed? So with enforce, we plug to your CI/CD pipeline, to repositories, and when developers start pushing code, we automatically analyze this code to create a whitelist of files, functions, and commands that we expect to see running in production. And if there is any deviation, if something is running was not supposed to be there, we alert, and we can use your existing DevOps tools to bring you back to a known good state. So basically what you see here is that you start by understanding what's there, you understand what matters, and then we protect you when there's a deviation from what is supposed to be. I want to show you a few screenshots from Prioritize, the second product I mentioned. What you see here is an environment with basically 2 virtual machines, 2 AMIs, and you can see it has 466 vulnerabilities. What you can see is that 50% of those vulnerabilities are in packages and libraries that will never be loaded to memory. When we focus on those and filter out everything that is unloaded, you can see you actually have 210 vulnerabilities. Another thing you can see is that your biggest problem is a library called OpenSSL, that's where you have most vulnerabilities, and not binutils, as you may have thought if you would look at everything there and not what's actually loaded. So from a security perspective, we allow you to focus on what matters. From a DevOps perspective, we simply allow you to patch much less. The last thing I want to show you here is this thing in yellow. You can see that out of 100% of the vulnerabilities, 50% are not relevant, but the another 16% are mitigated by enforce. What it means is that those vulnerabilities are exploitable, but when they will be exploited, our product will detect it and mitigate. We have seen companies where out of the box, they were able to reduce their attack surface and the risk by 80% automatically. I will wrap up here and say the first thing is that we natively integrate with all those tools you're seeing here on the screen. Most of them are actually our business partners. And what it means is that if you're using any of those tools, deploying us takes a few minutes. You can run us in CI with Prioritize, as well as in production. And as I said, from a security perspective, you get an instantaneous reduction in your risk in your attack surface automatically, no rule setting, no policy making. You just plug it to your CI/CD pipeline, we create a policy and we enforce it. From a DevOps perspective, what you get is something that is transparent, you don't feel it, doesn't intervene in your flow, and reduces the amount of work you need to do by 60 to 80%. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Leo.
You're on mute, Erez.
Erez, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Liran. I'll move on to Perception Point. Shlomi Levin, co-founder and CTO. Perception Point is threat prevention for collaboration channels. So please start.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Shlomi Levin, CTO of Perception Point. And we are going to talk about our security platform, which covers all the channels today in the modern cloud. So we go from emails to drives to APIs, basically any channel that the modern enterprise today establishes and brings in content to its networks. And today we're going to focus on what we call cloud storage security. So as you would have thought, next slide, one second. Yeah. So everyone was thinking about email all the time, that is the main vector, which is, by the way, that attacks come in. But as now the move to the cloud has gained much more velocity, so we're seeing a lot more attacks coming in through this vector. So we're looking about almost a third of the attacks are now also coming in from the new channels. And why is this, right? So a lot of people working from home is now brought up the whole, let's just look at our infrastructures and use them. So that's how the attackers can try and get more content in through different channels. And then naturally, these channels are less secure. So we have a situation here where email is very, very heavy guarded, but all the other channels are now more open. So what we see is that there's a couple ways of like how the attackers can get in, and this is stuff that we've actually seen in the real world. But basically, the most like logical thing is you have your drive, your file collaboration platform, and a file somehow gets to you either by email or and then it's synced somehow, or by USB or something, and then it's synced somehow into the cloud, and then it's now available to all the other people in your organization. So if we think about specifically the Microsoft platform, think about a OneDrive shared folder or a SharePoint site, which everyone has access to, or a Teams chat channel, where you by mistake sync an Excel file, which actually can attack your computer. You also have insider threats, obviously, so someone who just wants to share something and he's pretty unhappy. And thirdly, and most actually interesting, is the account takeover and impersonations, where one of the accounts in the organization are breached, and then that actually gives a foothold into the organization, internal drives and platforms. So from a real Fortune 500 company, one of our clients, huge, a lot of people on this network, always files coming in and out. What we actually found was some interesting things. First of all, emails are actually synced as well into the drive. So then malicious emails can now be attacking other people through the drive. That's one thing that we've already, just by looking at it from the other side. But just to kind of shift your perspective on, oh, wow, email isn't only email, it can also be accessed from the other channels themselves and pose a security threat to the organization. And then we actually did find malicious Excels that, which was this file here, which this one is actually a pretty interesting attack, where the attackers, they throw a file of theirs onto the disk and execute it, and they actually sit at a computer and type in commands and run. So this little fake loading screen kind of makes the user think, oh, it's still loading, installing, while the attacker has time to start typing on his keyboard and committing his crimes. So perception point, we built basically a stack that is unrivaled for the security vendors, email security or channel security, we would say, which is the drive. We are cloud native, so that means we scale with the cloud. So the more content, and we scan all the content, so the more load there is, the more we just grow our resources. An incident response is a service that we give to all the clients out of the box, which means we're there to give you answers about any of the incidents and have a dialogue about anything that, or any question or event that might arise. And plug and play, obviously, cloud stuff is pretty easy to connect, as previous people have been speaking about here, so pretty easy. Don't be strangers. Whoever's on this call, you guys can have a 30-day free trial. So you can even email me at shlomi@perception.io. Yeah, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you very much, Shlomi. We'll move to the next one, which is Rookout. Rapid debugging and frictionless logging. Liran Chaimovich. Oh,
everybody.
sorry. We need Portshift before that. Zohar Kaufman, my mistake.
Thank you. I thought you forgot me.
Yeah.
So thank you, Erez, and hello to everyone. So Portshift. I'm Zohar Kaufman. I'm the VP R&D and co-founder of Portshift. Portshift is a Kubernetes native platform that helps organizations to shift left on security with a single source of truth for container security. Portshift is the only solution offering an agentless approach with a single Kubernetes admission controller for seamless integration. Portshift platform delivers a comprehensive view of your Kubernetes deployments, including images, pods, and namespaces. While the traditional approach concentrated on containers, vulnerabilities scanning, this is not enough. Most attacks against containers and Kubernetes are originating from configuration mistakes. The most famous mistake was I think 2 years ago. By default, the Kubernetes dashboard was exposed to the whole world. So you can just take over Kubernetes clusters. Other configuration hygiene issues can be around the security context of containers, their access rights, and forgetting sensitive secrets inside container images. Lastly, in order to defend against lateral movement of an attacker, and in order to identify connection abnormalities, network segmentation policy need to be in place. So most organizations have the same security concerns when it comes to Kubernetes. They want to gain visibility and control of their Kubernetes deployments. They want to identify vulnerable application and their risk level. They want to discover misconfigurations. Misconfiguration is the most common security incidents, as we just discussed. And secure runtime deployments and network communications. Almost a quarter of the enterprises surveyed, they have experienced 2 or more types of security incidents. Runtime continues to be the lifecycle phase enterprises worry about the most. So how Portshift is actually helping you? So Portshift delivers a deep integration with Kubernetes to provide a rich context, declarative policy enforcement, improving risk profiling, vulnerability management, runtime detection, and remediation. Portshift streamlines containerized application security from code to runtime with Kubernetes native architecture. Both DevOps and security teams work off the same view and leverage the same controls. With Portshift, the advantages are visibility. You have a comprehensive view of all your Kubernetes deployments, including images, pods, and namespaces. Vulnerability mitigations, full lifecycle vulnerability scanning, either in the CI or during runtime. You have configuration management. You can identify misconfiguration across images, containers, cluster, and Kubernetes. And you have network segmentation. We segment and isolate based either on layer 3 or layer 7 the applications according to the protocols, according to the identities, according to several other aspects. So I want to show you a few glimpses of the product in the limited time I was given. So this is our dashboard. You can see here a few aspects of the platform. You can see here the pods running, the connections, the API events, the vulnerabilities, and the permissions, the role-based access controls that we see in the platform. While we can see all the workloads that are running and their highest vulnerability for each of them, we can also see all the connections that are now happening inside the cluster. We can also see it graphically. So you can see here in the map, you can see all the pods with different environments. And we can just click one of them and see all the details that are in this pod. We can also see all the events, the API events. Here, someone is trying to connect using SSH to a pod. All this is governed by policies. The policies are in simple English, as you see it, and you have an advisor that helps you get started and just script a rule just by clicking and apply rule. We can scan during runtime all the vulnerabilities. So you can see here a specific scan results with specific image. We can look at all the risks of the role-based access controls and see which high risk we have here in our system. So this is one of them, and we explain to you why it's high risk. So don't be a stranger. Please contact me at zora@portshift.io or just visit our website. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Zora. We'll move on to Rookout this time, right? Liran Chaimovich, please go on, the CTO of Rookout.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here at this product exchange and to give you a quick demo of Rookout. Before I dive into the demo, I'm sure we all have this experience when we just started writing code. We came to realize in software development, what we can do is limited only by our imagination. But as we grow and mature a bit, I've come to learn that what we are often limited by is the ability to understand our own application. As long as we keep that understandability, we can deliver new features, we can keep quality high, and actually live up to our imagination. But once we lose some of that understandability, then that's when bugs start to creep in, and that's when it's becoming ever harder to develop new features. Now, traditionally, the best tool to understand your code is a debugger. It allows you to see into the code, see exactly what's going on, and understand it. Unfortunately, as software applications become more complex, larger, whether you're using a monolith application, a microservices, or deployed to the cloud or secure environment, then debuggers just don't cut it anymore. And that's why we've created Rookout. Using Rookout, you can collect any piece of data you want, stack trace, variable values, anything, from any piece of code without having to write any code, redeploy, or restart. Here, for example, we have a simple Java application. It's deployed right now in the cloud in a DoiT account. And you can go right here to this URL and add tasks to it. I'm gonna add a task right here. And using Rookout, I can look into the app and collect a piece of data on the fly. Let's go into the Rookout UI. I've already selected this app, but you can also select a different server using IP or hostname. Source code is automatically loaded for me. So all I have to do is go into the source code, click, and then select the file I want. Here we have the REST endpoint where files are, where the tasks are being added. Now let's say I want to see exactly what this variable looks like because this logline is not good enough for me. So I'm going to add a non-breaking breakpoint. And now when I add another task, I'm instantly going to get data from that line. I can see exactly what this variable looks like. I can see the stack trace. I can see which server this came from, and all without writing a single line of code. Now, obviously, the application kept running, so I can't step in or step over, but I can add more breakpoints. And if I add another task, let's say monolith, I'm gonna get multiple breakpoints, and I can see line by line how my code is running. Another couple of neat features in Rookout is that I can use conditional breakpoints. I can set a condition, say to do title equals world. I'm gonna clear those messages. If I'm gonna set now hello world, I'm only gonna get one task instead of two. Now, on top of collecting the data to this IDE, you can also send the data anywhere you want. Let's say I want to you can create a new log line. I got a new task or a new metric. And then you can send this task to anywhere you usually collect data. It can be a logging solution, an alerting solution. Let's use Slack, for instance. And now I'm going to say liran@rookout.com, which is my email where you can contact me. And that's instantly going to show up here. And so this is a very quick demo of Rookout where you can just collect data from your application wherever it's running and see it immediately and send it to other tools you're already using to analyze data, all without having to write any code, redeploy, or restart, so that you can develop software faster, in higher quality, and just understand your code better. So that's it. Feel free to reach out to me, liran@rookout.com. I'm also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever.
Thank you, Liran. And we're the last one, Anodot, anomaly-based monitoring and alerting will be done by Amit Levy, the marketing manager. So Amit, please. I think you're muted, Amit.
Okay, well, now I'm not muted.
We're good.
So thank you, Erez, and thanks everybody. I think really interesting to see all the products from all the participants. Amazing things that are developed here. Really shortly about Anodot. So what we do is autonomous business monitoring. And basically all of us today, businesses, are monitoring lots of KPIs. We look at conversion rates, cost, response time, crashes, errors, and many things by so many dimensions. And it's very clear for all of us who are doing that seeing things in data today is practically impossible. we've surveyed our customer base to understand how much of their business is covered by KPIs, dashboards, and static thresholds. And eventually, it's very small fraction of the business. About 3% of the business is covered by KPIs. So most of the business is actually invisible. There's also a study by IDC that shows that only 0.5% of the data that is collected is actually analyzed. So again, most of the data we collect today is never analyzed. It just lays there. It's dark data. So at Anodot, we basically solve that problem by using AI. And our AI is monitoring 100% of the data that you collect. This is, in this case, we look at payment transactions. And what you see here is the actual data. And around it is the baseline that we've built. And our machine learning algorithms are building these baselines in an unsupervised manner for hundreds of millions of metrics that we monitor every day for all of our customers. And what you can see is that once something happens, the machine learning algorithms identify it very, very fast and defines it as an anomaly. And this helped our customers to find problems hours before static thresholds and basically give their customers better level of service. Not only that we monitor all of the data, we also correlate everything. So if one metric goes down, we understand what metrics are related to it and correlated to it and build everything together to a coherent story. We actually, on top of anomaly correlation, we also identify leading dimensions and are able to correlate things together with external events. So for our customers, we give a full story that really helps them in a comprehensive way to understand what happens. So not only we reduce the time to detection, but also in fact, we reduce the time to resolution. And this technology eventually is used mostly for business monitoring. So while technologies that we all know, amazing companies like New Relic, Splunk, Sumo Logic, Datadog, all of those are used in the realm of APM and IIT monitoring to monitor networks, logs, code, and things like that. Our technology is mainly used in order to monitor business KPIs, revenues, costs, partners, usage, and customer experience. And the thing that, and basically I break it down to those three main use cases that we see: revenue and costs, partners, and customer experience. And I wanted to specifically for this session highlight cloud costs, which we see gains amazing traction today as companies are very well aware of their costs and looking for every way possible in order to better understand and cut costs. We see many of our customers use our anomaly detection mechanisms and technology in order to monitor their cloud costs, to get instant alerts on cloud usage and cloud spikes in cloud costs in order to reduce potential cost gaps or bridges. And that's it pretty much. As everybody, I'm available in my email, amit@anodot.com. You're also welcome to contact me wherever online. And what I want you to take out of it is, again, our technology is business first. We have a deep 360 monitoring technology, and everything is fully autonomous.
Thank you, Amit. And that wraps up the list of presenters. I would like to thank you all. So first of all, I would like to thank Maya of our team, Maya Vitan, which is the marketing manager for DoiT International, that worked hard to set up this event and all the campaigns and everything. And I'm very happy that it worked that well. So except for that, I would like to thank you all, the presenters, first of all, and all the attendees, and I hope that you enjoyed it and it was very beneficial for you. We'd love to hear your feedback. Please reach me out at erez@doit-intl.com. And if you happen to like a product and would like me to introduce you to any of the companies presented today, please feel free to ping me on any channel and I would be happy to assist. Okay. Thank you everyone and have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Ciao.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.